Where would we be without that intro? And we're talking all things New York Jets. Welcome, everybody. Another edition of at MC Show Digital, the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. And we are talking Jets today. Training camp is upon us. And we thought we'd bring in a mastermind, a guy that kind of really knows the flavor of this team, goes all the way back to the 70s for crying out loud with the Jets Jets. And his name is Randy Lange, Jets insider and historian. Let's welcome him in. How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing fine, Jim and Paul. Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate
All
it.
right. And today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Bayberry Automotive, integrity in everything, just like the Jets. Hopefully, some integrity in their record this year. All right, let's talk about it. I was reading your article this morning, Randy, about Aaron Glenn. I'm very intrigued that the Jets picked him as their next head coach and that this guy has come in and he's creating a persona for this team. So give me your early reviews here on Aaron Glenn. I know we haven't even played a game yet, but the choice of Glenn and then how the culture might change under him as they enter camp here.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn has been an intense and high-end competitor, no matter what his position has been. I was there in '94, my first year on the beat at the Bergen Record, covering the Jets when Aaron was selected in the first round, and went on to, I believe, it was 8 years of Jets ball and another 7 after that around the NFL. And he was a top cornerback, a Pro Bowler, and then I did run into him again in 2012, I believe it was, when he had 2 years as a Jets scout. Mm-hmm. And at that time, he was starting out on the path that has led him to the Jets head coaching position. I think he always kind of wanted to be a coach and a head coach, but he got that advice from Bill Parcells and others. Maybe, I don't know if Sean Payton was, he wasn't around for Aaron at that time, but soon after that.
Maybe Dallas, right?
Yeah, with Dallas, right, with Parcells and Payton. And then, of course, Payton went to New Orleans, brought Aaron Glenn with him. Mm-hmm. But Aaron wanted to be involved as a coach, and I think he knew that he had what it took. It's no easy thing to position yourself for that, but he did. He went the hard route. He went overland to scouting, and then to coaching positions. The DBs with the Saints, and then he went to the Lions as the coordinator there, did some very good things there. And as he said, coming to the Jets is like coming home. He's a Texan. Let's not forget that. But right. He feels like the Jets are home for him. And he's brought with him that mentality that he's meticulous. He's always been meticulous as far as wanting to know his position cerebrally as well as physically, and to know what everybody else on the field is doing, and to get into the heads of his teammates, and to be a leader of men. And so he's brought that with him. We can talk about all the other Jets coaches that have come before, and where they where they didn't rise to the occasion, or had trouble getting their culture message across. But it's like, hey, what do we got? We got Aaron Glenn right now, and he's got a culture idea. He's making his desires known to everybody in that locker room. Everybody knows it's Aaron's team. He's just taken the bull by the horns, and he's getting them ready. And we're going to see what the Aaron Glenn period of Jets football looks like very soon. That'll start tomorrow when they report, and then the first practice of camp is on Wednesday.
Randy, you and old AG came into the Jets officially together there in '94. I'm curious, did you have any sense that AG, a first-round draft choice in 1994, would eventually get into coaching, let alone a head coach, and let alone the New York Jets in all of its glory? So do you have any sense that that's, some players can easily connect the dots to coaches, but sometimes you can't?
Yeah, I can't really say that I saw that initially. I mean, I wasn't with him every day, every hour of the day, like, the Jets coaches and players were in '94, but he was very impressive. I mean, I remember his body was just phenomenal. I mean, just ripped, and for a 5'9" guy, it's like, oh my God, I wouldn't want to go in a dark alley with that guy. unless he was on my side, of course. and and yet, you knew from talking to him that he was serious. He wasn't frivolous. He wasn't, it wasn't a hobby for him. It was a dedication for him as a player. And then when I talked to him again, I can't swear that I'm the only one who got him back in 2012, but I was with the Jets at that time, and he was on his little 2-year sabbatical, or I should say, his semester with the Jets, or and as a scout. And I did talk to him and kind of sent him off into the coaching world with a feature that I did back then, which is available still, I believe, online. And that kind of is when I knew that this guy might be headed for something bigger. And so it was I just remember a great time talking to him, and it was it's like, well, he's a scout, but he's going to be more than a scout, I just thought. And so here he is, more than a scout, more than a coordinator. He is leading the Jets, and that's not something I can say that I foresaw up until recently. But then once his name was being floated around for head coaching positions, it was like, well, wouldn't that be interesting if he did get the call to interview for the Jets from Woody Johnson and his brother Christopher and so on. So that happened, and here we are.
Randy, what kind of leader do you think Aaron Glenn's going to be as a head coach? I mean, we've seen him, in the coordinator role. He did a phenomenal job with the Detroit Lions most recently. What do you expect that we might see that might be different, or just leadership style from Aaron Glenn?
Well, he's got a definite approach to his media responsibilities. He didn't come in careful or pussyfooting around and somebody asks a tough question and he deflects. I mean, he goes right after it, and he just says, listen, guys. That's one of his favorite lead-ins, listen. And so you better listen when he says that, because what comes after that he means. And so he's definitely, I would say, no nonsense in that sense. I mean, I think he's not going to be a strict martinet. I mean, he's not going to scare guys, off the team or anything, but he knows when it's time to coach and when it's time to have fun. But when they're on the field, it's time to coach and play. And I believe that is going to get has gotten across to everybody already, even before they start training camp. As far as the numbers and the type style of play, he's brought in a lot of people that he knows from his travails and his travels in the NFL. He's got Tanner Engstrand on offense, who he coached with in Detroit. Steve Wilks, he's known for a long time. Wilks has been all around the NFL. He's the defensive coordinator. Chris Banjo, I just looked this up the other day. Chris Banjo, a career special teams player, basically. He did play corner, but he had vast numbers of snaps at special teams. He had 3 career interceptions. Both came in back-to-back seasons with the Saints, as Aaron Glenn as his DB's coach. So Aaron knew Chris Banjo from there. I think he probably talked to Peyton in Denver before he hired Banjo as the special teams coach. So he's got a lot of coaches that he's familiar with that know what he wants and are implementing it now. I mean, they implemented it beginning with the rookie minicamp, if not before. And now they've taken it, they're going to take it to training camp. But I also expect to see, defensively, it's all on paper right now. So we got to see how it turns out. Defensively, I think what Aaron wants to see is, let's see some takeaways. I mean, that's been mentioned a few times. The Jets have not consistently taken the ball away for a few years. Sauce Gardner, of course, has had 3 career interceptions. He's a great corner. Obviously, he was just signed to the best cornerback contract, I believe, in the NFL in history. And yet he only had 1 pick last year, none the year before. His PDs are very good still, even though that was down. But he wants to be better than that. And Aaron Glenn says he's done it before. He'll do it again. It's in him. And he believes in Sauce. So I believe Sauce is going to come up with some takeaways, some picks, maybe a few fumbles. The guy I'm looking forward to is Andre Cisco at safety. Came in from Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Former
Syracuse
Syracuse
guy, baby.
Orange, Central New York, jumping out of their chairs right
Well,
now.
exactly. I mean, he's come home. He's a guy who came home along with Aaron Glenn. He's a native New Yorker, and so he hasn't had great numbers as a safety as far as intercepting the ball, but he's had some numbers, and I believe this scheme will be probably very good one for him to produce in. There's no guarantee that Steve Wilkes' defense is going to be exactly like Aaron Glenn's Detroit defenses, but the last 3 years of Detroit's defenses under Glenn, Kirby Joseph was the team's interception leader. Each of those 3 years, he's a safety, and last year, Joseph led the NFL with 9 picks. So does that translate to Andre Cisco having a career year? Let's hope so, but I think the opportunities will be there for Cisco to take the ball away. And just to keep going here, long-winded, but I'm sorry. Going to offense. I mean, just short and sweet. I mean, Justin Fields has come in. He's going to be a quarterback like the Jets have probably never seen in their history, and just as far as combining running and passing. And Aaron Glenn's and Tanner Engstrand's stated goals is to see this offense become, well, very explosive. They want it to be an explosive offense. Do they have the pieces right now already? That remains to be seen. We'll find out, but that's the goal. And so I think those are the things that we're going to be looking at during the preseason and on into the regular season under Aaron Glenn.
Again, we're speaking with Randy Lange, baby. Jets senior contributor. He's an expert, a historian of sorts. I mean, he brings it all here on the Gosh Darn program, and it's brought to you by our friends over at Bayberry Automotive, integrity and everything. And, Randy, I want to go back to Aaron Glenn for a second and sort of the coaching staff in general. You know, as a diehard New York Jets fan, I'm painfully aware of the first-year head coaching graveyard that exists with all of these guys that the Jets have taken a chance on. I thought they'd be the guy, and then they dip their toe temporarily in the waters of, let's get a retread, that Adam Gase guy. That's probably going to work out. That did not, spoiler alert. And then now we're back here once again with the first-year head coach, who I feel a lot different about than previous first-year head coaches with the Jets. But, it's always a mystery. You don't know who they're going to be until they're in the chair. I want to ask you, how important was it for Aaron Glenn to get Steve Wilkes, who you've mentioned before, on the staff, a guy who's been a head coach multiple times, both in the interim basis and on a full-time basis before, having that kind of experience as someone who's done the job? How important is that for AG on this staff?
I think it's obviously very important for Aaron to have Wilkes as a sounding board and as the guy who's going to implement Aaron's views of defense as well as his own. And I don't have his curriculum vitae in front of me, but I mean, this guy's been everywhere. Yeah. And he's coached a number of successful operations, and obviously a few that haven't turned out the way he wanted, and so he's moved on. But he seems to be the guy that Aaron has a great deal of confidence in. And like we said, there are a few things that the Jets need to do to improve on what is really on paper a very good defense, but did not perform always at that high level last year with some blips along the way. But I think what they want to see is, let's see takeaways. Let's see the picks and the fumbles come our way more than they have been. And let's have some reliable, solid, long stretches of great run defense, which is something that Aaron Glenn's Lions did. I want to say the last 2 years he was there, they were very good in run defense. And they have the guys who can get it done. I mean, you got Quinnen Williams and the linebackers. You got the last 2 team MVPs are still young linebackers in Jamian Sherwood and Quincy Williams. So those guys have been all over the field. And then you add some safety help with Cisco and maybe Tony Adams or whoever wins that other job. And I think Brandon Stevens, actually, he's the new cornerback filling in or taking over for DJ Reed. He's had an up and down career for sure, but the Jets saw something in him that they wanted, and he's, I believe, I want to say he's a very good tackler. I mean, you don't want to hear that about your corner, that he's only a good tackler, but I think that they're working with him to smooth out the inconsistencies in his coverage, and meanwhile he will be a great contributor in run support. So I mean, all of those things add up to, let's see some better run defense. Let's see some takeaways. Steve Wilkes is the guy. He's the sounding board for AG as the defense gets underway this year.
So, Randy, you work for the team, so you can give us a scoop, ski potato. Just me, you, and Jim Lerch here. There's no one else. There's not millions and millions watching wherever they are. Okay, give us the scoop. What's going on with this defense? Because we have Steve Wilkes and AG sort of merging their identities. They both have interesting traits in their past of obviously AG being a defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes being a defensive coordinator for a long time. Is it 4-3? Is it 3-4? Is it man? Is it zone? Is this aggressive blitzing people talking about is going to happen a lot? Give us the answer, Randy. I know you've got it. You got it in the vaults back there. Just unveil it. Unlock it for us.
Let's see. Can I trust you guys just down low here?
Yeah, sure, of course.
I think I think what we're probably looking at is more man coverage than zone, which the Jets have played more of the last several years under the Saleh regime before he left last year, and under Jeff Ulbrich. But I think I can't tell you that it's going to be a big blitzing team, but it sounds like it could be. They have the pass rushers. I mean, I got numbers for you that I'm sure you're aware of, but some fans will be like, really? I mean, they haven't had a double-digit sacker back-to-back since Sean Ellis, and Will McDonald could be that guy this year. And, wouldn't it be something if they had 3 10-sack guys? They haven't done that since the late 60s when sacks weren't even official for defensive players. Jerry Philbin, who just left us, and Verlin Biggs and John Elliott, I believe, were the 3 back in 68, 69, 10 sacks each.
Good year.
Of course, very good years for the defense. Can that be accomplished? Quinnen Williams has done it. He didn't do it last year, but you got Jermaine Johnson, who's coming back. He's starting the camp on the active PUP list because of the Achilles. He's still rehabbing, but all signs are that he's going to be ready to go soon. And I mean, he hasn't said that he's worried about making the opener. He believes he will. So we'll see how that works out. But Jermaine Johnson was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago. I mean, that's another element of the Jets that is going to come into play, is the pass rush with McDonald, with Jermaine, with Quinnen. And who knows who else will step up? I mean, Quincy doesn't blitz a whole lot, but in this new defense, I don't know. Will we see that? I'm not sure. But he's a big play guy, and he does play in the opponent's backfield, but just not as much taking down the quarterback as much as he's taking down running backs and wide receivers. So that's what I think we're going to see, unofficially, of course.
We'll keep that on the DL.
Yeah, DL, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think at least there's the opportunity. I mean, what do we have at this time but what we're looking at right now on paper? It looks like it could be very productive. It may or may not need a month or 2 or a year or whatever, or maybe it'll start right out of the gate. That would be great. But I think that the opportunity is there for this defense under AG, under Steve Wilkes, with the players we've mentioned, to come back to the form that it had. In early in the Saleh regime, 21-22, and I mean, go back to Rex Ryan. I mean, can they have that kind of defense from 09 and 10? That would be something else if they could duplicate it. I know I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. I mean, I don't know if that's where we're headed this year, but it would be nice. And I think they have the players who can get that kind of thing rolling, especially if everything falls into place for them with the X's and O's and the injuries do not pile up. And so I'm optimistic for the defense.
All right, we're talking with Randy Lange, Jets insider and historian. It's at MC Show Digital, the Man-Child Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget to like us by hitting the little thumbs up. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's brought to you today by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Let's just take 30 seconds to tell people a little bit more about our friends at Bayberry.
Integrity is a word that some people just throw around in life. But at Bayberry Automotive, integrity is everything. Integrity of their mechanics, who are all experienced and certified. Integrity in the work they perform, with nothing but 5-star reviews from satisfied customers on Google. Integrity that goes along with family, a family-run business that treats you like one of their own. Integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive. BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
I'm wearing some Bayberry swag today. There they are, our friends.
Yeah, and
Nice
I heard that on the
summer
commercial,
shirt.
Lurch,
Very
that
nice.
Bayberry is the premier place for auto repair in Liverpool. Randy Lange appears to be the premier choice for New York Jets information, and he's been pretty spectacular so far.
Yeah, I want to talk to him about something that everybody is curious about in Jetsland and beyond in the NFL, and that is the passing of the torch here at quarterback. I mean, this is fascinating, Randy. The Jets made their choice early. They went for the youngster, Justin Fields. He's been tried a couple of places. Even Mike Tomlin couldn't, quote, figure him out. And we go from Aaron Rodgers, the grizzled veteran who originally was banged up and then didn't really produce the way the Jets were hoping. So let's just talk about this transition at quarterback. What does it mean? How do you think it's going so far, and how do you inevitably see this thing ending?
Well, I'm optimistic, as I always am at this time of year. I was very optimistic when Aaron Rodgers arrived 2 years ago.
A lot of people were.
A lot of people were, and even last year when he was coming back from the Achilles and everything looked good and was falling into place, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, and it didn't turn out so well. And I wish it had, because I mean I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers do great things with the Jets. He said all the right things on the campus that needed to be said. I thought he was a good leader. Everybody who talked about him loved him. It didn't work out, and he's now no longer. Well, he's with the Steelers, and we'll see him on opening day.
That interesting.
So what do we have? Justin Fields, and this is a guy. And again, I'm optimistic, and it's on paper so far. We can't say what he's going to do, but as I mentioned before, there's a chance for him to be something that Jets fans have never seen at the quarterback before. I mean, Joe Namath was great passing, was not a rusher, as we know. Richard Todd, not a well, you go on and on. Ken O'Brien, not a rusher. I mean, but this guy, he is he is tied for the fourth best yards per carry average at quarterback since 2000. And the names that are ahead of him are Michael Vick, and I think Colin Kaepernick sneaked in there, and
Lamar.
And then of course Lamar Jackson, and he's tied with Kyler Murray. So 6.00 yards per carry is very good, and it hints at his escapability, his ability to make great yards, when things break down or on RPOs or whatever the case may be. We don't want to. I mean, I don't think we want to see him rushing 300 times, but I think it's, as long as he stays healthy and he can maneuver, he's going to have that electric input into that Jets offense that they haven't had at quarterback forever. I mean, really. So I mean, that part of it is very good. Now the passing part is what I think fans are concerned about. They want to know, is this guy going to be what he needs to be on occasion, as opposed to being a runner? He needs to be a passer. And the thing that I will always point to is that he has improved some key metrics as a quarterback wherever he's been each year. He was with Chicago 3 years. He was with Pittsburgh last year. We can make all the caveats we want about the Bears situation and the Steelers, wanting Russell Wilson, and they made the switch, but every year, Justin Fields has improved his accuracy a little bit, not greatly, but I think it's from 61% when he came into around 2/3, 67%. He's improved his turnover ratio. I mean, the guy had two giveaways, 2 personal giveaways last year in his 6 starts with the Steelers. 1 pick, 1 fumble. That's historically low, even though, again, we have to, caveat that by saying he only started 6 games and came in for, I think, 4 others behind Russell Wilson. So what do we know? Does that tell us what we're going to see? Well, I mean, I think all of that's good. His passer rating has improved every year in the league. His scoring opportunity rate as a percentage of drives has improved every year. He's up to about 42%, which is a very good figure. I mean, it's not great. It's not, it's not Tom Brady great or anything like that, but it is improving. And so we see all these things happening, and then again, this is all talk. It's like, you want to hear the talk and then see the walk, right? But Justin Fields talks all the right things. I mean, he wants to improve. He wants to get better every year. He believes obviously he's one of those guys who says, I'm harder on myself than anybody else can be. And he wants to be a leader. He's a quiet leader, but he's not. He's the next tier down. He's not a vocal guy that you're going to hear all the time at practice, but he's going to get his points across. He's not a wallflower by any means. So, and Aaron Glenn has mentioned that too. He communicates well. And he did have a very good, from all public, or let's say that all of the media sessions, did have a very good off-season OTA session and mini camp where he was throwing the ball well, seemed to be in charge of the offense, which he obviously has to master and has to learn. But all of the signs point to, all right, that's good. All of this is good. Let's see what he can do when he's on the field. Let's see what happens in August, especially what happens beginning in September against the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers.
Well, based on all those rushing stats you've said, when I've been thinking about predictions before the season, I've enjoyed your guys' panel. The great team over there: Ethan Greenberg, EA, Caroline Hendershot. You got all the stars over there that you guys have been doing these panel questions about, talking about things, predictions, and things that could happen. One of the sure bets feels like Justin Fields is going to shatter the single season rushing record for the New York Jets. If you were to count Al Duro in 1960, who had about 450 and change, or go to the Geno Smith in the modern era around 2013 with like 360 and change, where he's going to be. It seems like with Justin Fields' numbers, as long as he's healthy, he's going to annihilate that. Are there any other predictions you're feeling pretty good about, Randy? Some sure bets to throw out there in the universe?
Well, you're gonna ask me to call up something I'm not quite sure of all of the numbers, but I was asked about, that we do that question series, we call it. So we all contribute one graph of 200 words of observation on a particular question every week. And the one question a few weeks ago was, what do we expect to see from Justin Fields? And I said, he doesn't have to improve to become the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. We would love that, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
But if he, and I'm trying to think of the yardage figures. If he reaches, I think it's like Aaron Rodgers had 3,700 passing yards last year.
Yeah, it might have even been 38. Yeah, I think he was third all time.
Like yeah. And I said, third all time, right? I said if Justin matches that, and that's a big if, but if he matches that, and if he produces the rushing yards that we know that he can do, even though I don't think we're going to see an 1,100-yard rushing season from him, which he did have one of those.
Yeah,
Of course, Lamar Jackson has one of those every year, pretty much, I guess. But if we see that kind of production, and I think touchdowns, we also mentioned, how many touchdowns can he produce? And I gave a high number based on he does run the ball into the end zone as well as he's thrown it in there a few times. I said, if he comes to these career levels in all 3 of those areas, he could be like the number 7 quarterback in the NFL in each of those categories, which is not number 1, but it's not number 32. He can be he could be number 7 in each of those categories, which would be very fitting since he went to uniform number 7 as a Jet. So it kind of all came around full circle for me on that question, but I think that's the optimistic view, and I hope it is realized for Justin and for the Jets offense and for Aaron Glenn and all Jets fans. But really, whatever the numbers are, he has to be the catalyst that gets them back to the playoffs. He has to be one of the big catalysts among many, but he's the guy with the ball in his hands, and he's got to get him back. We talked about coaches in with the Jets, and a guy like Todd Bowles started out for the first 15 games very well in 2015.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
didn't end well, and that was
not.
the last winning season. I mean, 2015.
Wow.
Rex Ryan, 2 years when he started out, the first 2 years phenomenal, AFC title appearances. Then the next 4, not so much. So there's a lot of things that the Jets need to overcome, but they have a new start. They got a new quarterback who I think can do very good things. We won't say great things yet, but let's see. And they have a new head coach who's come home, AG. So I'm optimistic from that perspective that the Jets are putting together that kind of team that they need to have to get back on the track that all the Jets fans and all the Jets want them to be on.
Which certainly makes a lot of sense. We have training camp, so position battles and things of that nature. And one of my favorites, I know apparently it was polarizing among Jet fans a couple years ago, Randy, but I love Hard Knocks. I love getting to see the 90th player, the 70th player, the 60th player. I love preseason. I know other people don't love it. I'm like, ooh, look at this battle for this position or that. Is there a player that is, for one reason or another, and you put together the yearbook and everything too, that has piqued your interest, someone that you're rooting for to make the team that maybe is unheralded in some way, that for whatever reason it's a story or a personal connection of some kind that is on your root for list, Randy?
Yeah, boy, that's a good question. I'm trying to go over all of the guys I mentioned will be obvious to everybody, but I think the offensive line has got to be a place to go for that. I mean,
Sure.
The Jets have drafted the last 2 years something that they had not done. I think they did it just once in their career, in their history, which is take tackles with the first pick of back-to-back drafts.
Mm-hmm.
And they took Olo Fashanu last year, and they got Adrian Mumbu this year.
Yeah, Armand Membu. Yep.
Armand Membu. That looks to be the left and right tackle combination for the Jets coming up. Although Membu's got to win the job, but it looks like Fashanu is back from his injury and
thankfully
is ready to go. And then internally, on the inside, we got John Simpson, who looks he's a solid pro.
Yes.
You've got AVT. Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard, who at least, he finished the season last year, which had been difficult for him the previous 2 seasons with very serious injuries. So he's an outstanding and very versatile guy. And then at center, we could have a battle with Joe Tippmann and Josh Myers, who came in as a free agent from Green Bay, where he started just about every game for 4 years, I think. So, I don't know who wins that job. I mean, I'd say Tippmann probably, but I'm not going to rule out Myers and whatever. I mean, that looks to be a solid line, and that's something again that AG Aaron Glenn believes in, and he said that after they took Membu on the night of the first round of the draft back in April, that's something he believes in. You build from the inside out, which the inside being the line. And that makes everything better for a lot of people, for the quarterback, for all of the skill guys, for the defense, because the offense is mounting longer drives. And so, I mean, I didn't really answer the question there. I didn't pick a guy out, but, let's say, I don't know, the whole line.
There you go. That's a great answer. I love it. Trench warfare, baby.
Talking with Randy Lange, Jets insider and historian, a Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget to like our video. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at MC Show Digital. All right, another battle. I don't know. Is it a battle? Who is the second wide receiver on this Jets team? We know Garrett Wilson's number 1. They gave him the bag. So who's number 2?
Well, that's going to be interesting, obviously, in the development of the offense. And all of these happy things that we've talked about and I've talked about with Justin Fields depends a lot on somebody else stepping up and helping out Garrett Wilson. Now, Josh Reynolds is a seasoned veteran who did not have a great season last year for a couple of different reasons, some of which were off the field. With took a gunshot to the ear or something into the, but whatever. I mean, he came back from that, did not have a great season, but has had a good career. He could be the guy. Alan Lazard is back. I mean, Jet fans probably ambivalent about that, but I thought he at least rebounded a little bit last year with Aaron Rodgers, and now Aaron's not there. It's kind of his security blanket, but I think he's a good pro, wants to succeed. Let's see if he can do it. And you got a bunch of other names, but I think we need to go to another position to see who might be helping out Garrett Wilson in the offense, and that is tight end. And you've got Taylor, who just signed finally, the second round pick, Mason Taylor, who was known officially, I think, as LSU's quarterback security blanket. Mm-hmm. He left LSU with 28 consecutive games receiving with at least one reception. Doesn't carry over to the pros, obviously, but if he can start a career, with a good stretch of games where he is Justin Fields' security blanket or his guy to go to down the seam and score touchdowns when Garrett Wilson is double covered and the other guy's not getting open in the slot or at the other side, then that would be very interesting to add that element to the Jets offense. And I mean, I don't want to, again, I go back in history. We got Dustin Keller. Can he be a Dustin Keller? Keller didn't last long, but he was very good when he was there for, I think, 4 or 5 years. Mickey Schuler was there for a long time. He set most of the Jets receiving records at tight end. Mm-hmm. I would love to see Taylor start to develop a career where fans can look at those historical players for the Jets and say, yeah, he could be. Let's see how let's see if he's got that staying power. Let's see if he can stay healthy. Let's see if he doesn't have the dips in his career where he, goes, a half a season with low production. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's a key to the Jets receiving options in the coming season, which is getting, Mason Taylor out in the pattern as well as having Garrett Wilson out there, who, as we know, is phenomenal. Not yet. I don't think he's yet acknowledged by most NFL observers to be one of the top 3 wide receivers yet, but he could be. I mean, he's got the credentials that he's building. He's got the streaks he's building. 80 catches, 1,000 yards. That's his baseline. Let's see, and that's why Mason Taylor and Josh Reynolds and, the backs, I mean, that's something we didn't talk about, but Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Aaron Glenn has talked about all 3 of those guys as being, we're going to use all 3. And that means not just running, but also receiving. All 3 of them have done some things with receptions out of the backfield that you got to like. And Breece Hall especially has been a big play guy, both running the ball, hitting the gap and taking off and not even being touched sometimes for 60-yard runs. But he's also had some receptions like that. So put it all together. That's what we're looking for. Let's see if, we can get that passing game going for Justin Fields and for the Jets offense. And it could be enjoyable, but again, it's early. So let's see how it develops during the coming months.
I would say, on Breece Hall, I go back to that, the 2023 week 1, which is normally a painful memory for most Jet fans, but the first 2 carries of the game for Breece Hall were to the left for 26 yards. We're like, oh, something's there. And his second rush of the game was 83 yards. Should have went to the house. Garrett started celebrating a little too early. If he would have given that block, that would have been a touchdown to the hizzy. So, yes, I'd love to see Breece Hall get back to it. My last question for you, Randy, is this. You've been around the team for a long time. and we don't see what happened. And I've seen we've been getting made fun of by the national media. Oh, cool, you re-signed your guys, here's a cookie. But it just hasn't happened, Randy. We either not had guys that are worth re-signing, or the ones that were worth something, we traded them away. Jamal Adams and Leonard Williams and all these guys the last couple of years. So what does it mean? The Austin Powers sign. What does it all mean, Basil? What does it mean? Jamian Sherwood locked in, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, the Jets. Aaron Glenn said it was important for them to keep their own, and they've delivered on that promise only a couple of months into the job.
Yeah, the interesting thing that Darren Muji, the GM, who we haven't mentioned yet, but he came in with Aaron Glenn, and they're a team now, obviously, and running the football operation. But Muj was the first guy that I remember saying something like, we feel it's very important to keep our own, and we signed our 2 quarterbacks, which was Justin Fields, who was not their own, but Jamian Sherwood, who was their own. Mm-hmm. And obviously with CJ Mosley's transition from, the full-time, defensive godfather, basically. I mean, everybody looked up to this guy. Mm-hmm. And he was a great producer for several, 4 years, let's say, with the Jets, tackling and leading that defense. And then he got injured last year, played only a few games, retired after being released this year. But CJ Mosley had a lot to do with Jamian Sherwood's progress, obviously. And Jamian was very happy to be considered as part of the Jets' future. And obviously he will be. He was the team MVP last year. He led the league. We have to go into the gray areas of statistics, but he led the league in total solo tackles last year. 95 solos on defense, 3 more on special teams early on. So 98 solo tackles, led the league. And of course, you can cut that, dice it up, and slice it up a number of ways. It's not total tackles. It's not just defensive tackles, but it's something. It shows that Jamian Sherwood wants to stick his nose in the fan, or his face in the fan, as Al Groh used to say. One of the great things that I take away from that Groh single season at the, running the Jets in 2000. But Jamian Sherwood's a big part of this, and Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji both believe we want to keep our own, and that's interesting, and it's something that the Jets maybe haven't done as much in the past as they're doing this year. Will it pay dividends? I mean, you got to make sure that your own are the guys that you need. You want them to be there, but are they the guys that are going to help you win? But I think the players that they have signed, I mean, keeping Garrett is phenomenal. Keeping Sauce is phenomenal. Jamian was re-signed. He's phenomenal so far. I mean, I don't want to make him into Dick Butkus or anything, but he's been an outstanding developmental guy, developing into that role as perhaps the next CJ Mosley. Certainly will be in that position to run the defense and have the green dot on the helmet. So all of those things point to that's a philosophy that the Jets are undertaking. And I don't believe it's lip service. It sounds like that's their style. So again, we're going to see how much the dividends are paid in keeping those guys. But certainly with the guys we mentioned, there's a chance at least that they will have some great moments this year, and perhaps not too long of a time period. Jets fans specialize in patience over the years. We know that. But perhaps the patience will be rewarded soon. If not this year, then soon.
All right, Randy, I lied. I have one more, and I just want to nerd out on this one because you mentioned CJ Mosley, and it brings me back to all your wonderful stats and history that you bring up. That 3-year run that CJ Mosley had of production is up there with the greatest Jets linebackers in history. So how do you sort of stack them all? David Hitman Harris, you got Marvin Shade Jones, Larry Grantham, baby. So
Mo
when
Lewis.
You Mo Lewis, of course. So we're going to miss even more. Jonathan Vilma, who I loved in the early 2000s. DeMario Davis, who had the pop of the Jets, left, traded back in a player-for-player swap, and then leaves and breaks our heart again and has been dominating with the New Orleans Saints, which is terrific. how do you stack them all with all of, because CJ Mosley's run was short. That's what a lot of people will say. But the run was amazing with the 3 years.
Yeah, it was. And, Jamian showed that he could do that job. I believe, he's the guy. So there's I know CJ has stayed in the area and has been in communication with Jamian during this offseason as well as Quincy. So that's a good thing. You can't fault that kind of tutoring. I don't know how long CJ will remain in the area and if he's going to be a quasi-assistant coach, but I think it's important, obviously, that that Jamian, puts that mantle on, and it just shows that he can be that guy. The guy that I really want to see blossom there is Quincy, and it has been said that he didn't have as dominating a year this past year as he did in 23, when he was a Pro Bowler and was All-Pro, the team MVP and All-Pro. But I will point, and I mentioned this earlier, and we talked about it. This is an unofficial stat. I don't know. It's troubling because I don't think there's any standardization among the stat keepers in the league, among Elias and among people like True Media, Stats Pass, Pro Football Reference. Yeah. But I keep my own stats on tackles for loss.
Ooh,
and by that I mean not sacks, although we could factor sacks in. But tackles for loss on rushing plays and on receiving plays, which the league leaves out. Receiving play. Why wouldn't you want to include receiving 6-yard losses as a part of that stat package?
Sure.
Right.
But last year, Quincy had 25 tackles. I got to clarify it. Tackles for loss and no gain. All right. Because that's the standard that the NFL and Elias uses for sacks. Loss, no gain. So why wouldn't you use it for tackles for loss, no gain? But they don't. They use it for tackles for loss, stuffs. So that being said, tackles for loss, no gain. 25 of those tackles for Quincy Williams. That's the most that I've ever charted since 98, which is when I started charting. And we've had a number of excellent players in that regard. But, I think Sheldon Richardson had a great second year when he was still with the Jets and staying out of trouble, I guess.
Oh, boy.
But Sheldon had some great numbers. And, of course, we had CJ was the leader in third down stops. And, we can go through the list of, John Abraham, Sean Ellis were both very good in that regard, as well as sacks. So I want to see Quincy have that kind of year where he can, and as we said, he may be having more of a pass rush role this year. We don't know. I don't know. But if he does, then let's see some great numbers from him. Let's combine the tackles for loss, no gain on rushes and receptions with those 7 and 8 and 10-yard sacks and strip sacks and all of those good things that come with rushing the passer and giving them no options other than eating the ball or losing the ball in the backfield. So I'm very optimistic for Quincy in that regard, and I'd like to see that develop because he and Jamian right there and Quinn. I mean, you got the triangle, the Bermuda Triangle right there. If opponents go there, they should disappear.
And we can only hope.
Last year they didn't disappear quite as often. But let's see that. It can happen, and I want to see that happen for the Jets.
Randy Lange, we're coming off Open Championship weekend. I think if I were a pro golfer and I needed my yardage book done, I think I'd depend on a guy like you. Always great to catch up with someone who has such a great, deep, rich history with the Jets. Thanks for your perspective. We really, really appreciate it.
Jim, thank you. Paul, great talking to you guys, and we'll talk again. Thanks.
All right. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget, like us, subscribe to our YouTube channel at MC Show Digital. We'll see you next time.